according to a new survey by the Center for Financial Services Innovation, 48% of Americans have expenses that equal or exceed their income. Among that group, neither 40% have income that fluctuates from month to month, and 86% say this volatility has caused them financial stress as a result. It's pretty staggering, and someone that lives in these margins knows exactly what this is like. And the article goes into, and I'll read it, was in actually NBC News. It came out July 6th. It was written by Martha C. White. And there's a couple other sources that they cite in the article of how this is happening. It's pretty startling. And there's more freelance work and stuff like this, which I can tell you, being self-employed, running your own business, things do fluctuate. They're saying a huge percentage that a survey conducted by Bankrate.com found that 1 in 4 Americans have no emergency savings. And, this is disconcerting. And obviously a lot of this comes from, we've shipped away a lot of jobs. Living expenses have gone up, not just 10, 15%, but like hundreds of percentage points in the last 20 years, which is insane. And God forbid you want to go to college, you're going to have mounds and mounds of student loan debt. I've talked about this at great length. And even millennials are stuck with so much student loan debt. College costs, when I went to college in the late 80s, early 90s, it was $8,000 a year. And now college, and that was for a state school, that was University of Arizona in Tucson. Was not some private prestigious school. And that was out of state tuition. In-state was literally $1,500 a year or something like that. And now college tuitions are like 30, 40, 50 grand a year. It's insane. So, and people are still going to college because there are no manufacturing jobs. You need to have a college degree to get any sort of white collar income for the most part. If you want to work in the tech industry, you better have a college degree. So this keeps this crazy cycle of debt. I'll read you some more statistics here. Studies have found that a growing segment of the American workforce is coping with this instability. According to a business services firm, MBO Partners, the number of people who work independently hit a record this year of 41 million people, which is up nearly 3% from last year. Financial software firm Intuit also reports an upward trajectory, estimating that the number of independent workers, which make up 36% of the workforce today, will rise to 43% by 2020. This is by design, as companies search for ways to cut costs by spinning off jobs and then outsourcing to fill those positions, which leads them to avoid having to offer health or retirement benefits and lets them add or drop workers on short notice. All by design. If I don't have to pay full-time workers, then I don't have to pay into a pension. I don't have to pay into health care. I don't have to do any of that shit. I just do freelance and I just pay you hourly or for the job or whatever, and then I don't have to pay any of these other benefits, which is eroding the middle class in America. America was built on upward mobility. It was built on you could work your way up. It was built on you could work your way up in a company or a profession. It was built on this giant safety net that was mainly put in place by FDR and all of his banking regulation. As I've said numerous times before, the 40s and 50s were America's most prosperous time. It was its most regulated time financially. And when you have people like Bill Clinton repealing Glass-Steagall at the very end of his second term in late 1999, it sets the table for the 2008 banking crisis. So the corporate state has been slowly doing this so that now average people are struggling to get by. And there's no job security, and there's no health benefits, and we don't have single-payer health care. It's preposterous. So if you need a major surgery, you got to do a crowdfunding. You got to do an Indiegogo to get a surgery. Where before, most people had good jobs. So again, I come back to the same point, is we need a real third party. We need real progressives to come in here and start implementing this policy. Because as I can tell you how stressful it is when you're living job to job, paycheck to paycheck, gig to gig. It's very, very stressful. And that stress permeates into your personal life and everywhere else. And it could be better. I know many of you have talked about UBI, Universal Basic Income. Imagine if everybody's needs were just taken care of and you could pursue just being a better person. I mean, how much crime, how many fights, how many arguments would we not have? Because look at everyone's running around stressed out. And somewhere in there, you're supposed to have a fun, decent life. You're supposed to enjoy life. How am I supposed to do that if all I do is work, 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 and then I got to run and get my kids, and then I got to, how do I do that? Where is the joy? No wonder half the country's drunk and high and on all kind of pharmaceuticals and whatever else, because no one can deal with it. It's just too painful. It's too stressful. So I'll leave you with this. On average, families experience 5 months out of the year where their income is either 25% above or below their average. That's a lot of months, and that's a wild swing. It's just staggering to think about. And then you're seeing more and more companies spreading out their payment terms. 60, 90-day terms that might have little effect on a supplier of toner and printer paper, but can be tremendous challenge for a freelancer contract worker running running on financial fumes between jobs. I can attest to this. One of my jobs is I'm a partner at Comedy Film Nerds, and Chris Mancini, my co-host, we run our little company. And one of the things we do is we get paid by advertisers to do ad reads on our Comedy Film Nerds podcast. And some of these big ad agencies take their sweet time paying us. And we have a lot of money out there that is outstanding to us that we're owed, but they have a 60, 90-day cycle. And then the ad agency has a 60-day cycle after that. So it's like 4 months by the time we get paid for an ad read we've already done that's on a podcast that keeps getting downloaded. So they keep getting their ad read. You see this? And this is just my little podcast company. And we have a constant cash flow problem. Imagine every little small business owner out there is dealing with stuff like this. And when you deal with the big corporations, you have to play by their rules. And these are their rules, and this is how they're running society. And it's by design, and this has been happening for decades. And that's why, it's like corporate Democrats, I'm tired of your purity tests. No, it's not a purity test. I just want things that I know are attainable in the richest country in the history of the world. And $15 an hour minimum wage is attainable. Single payer healthcare, free healthcare for everybody is attainable. Free college tuition is very attainable. These things are all doable. Let's stop spending 55% of our budget on the military. Let's stop bombing people in the Middle East and creating more terrorists. Our tax dollars, which could be going to help all of us have a better infrastructure and healthcare and everything else and having less stress in our lives, are actually going to kill civilians in the Middle East, which create more civilians. We could be putting money towards green energy. We could have real visionary politicians and a president come in here and say, look, by 2025, no more gas cars. By 2025, 80% of our energy is going to come from renewables. They could do this. 25, maybe 2030, fine. You could do this. It's totally doable. You could put the whole country to work doing this. We could have an infrastructure of clean energy. We could have high-speed rail. We could have pipelines for water, not oil and gas that leak and poison our water supplies. We could have solar panels on every roof. We could have wind turbines everywhere. We could have schools. We could have peace and love and a fantastic place. America could be this beacon of hope for the entire world, and we could spread this all over the world. Not bombing people, creating refugees, and then getting pissed off when they want to come to our country because we blew theirs up for fucking oil. So NBC News, thanks for reporting this. I appreciate it in your business section. You're part of the problem, NBC News. And that's why I appreciate you guys coming here and not supporting cable. Cut your cable if you still have it and save that money. And the money you're saving, give it to this show and other independent media that you want to support. and you'd still be spending less money than what you're doing on cable.